morning. It's almost 7 o'clock. I was sleeping here with Miss Mary. Since it's not raining, I want to give you a little bit of piece of Duncannon. This is the town in a nutshell. I gotta tell you though, this restaurant right here is the bomb. I'm talking, you're gonna get your money's worth, literally. That's right down the street from the doily. And the doily from where I'm standing is right here. There's history to this building, but I gotta tell you, it is well beyond its heyday. That's the balcony right there. I showed you the inside when the camera was kind of waterlogged. Right on the other side of the doily is a small. On the other side of the doily is a small. What do you call it? You know, it's like a little shop. You know, a mini mart. But here's the deal. There's a grocery store where you could resupply a mile out of town, and the guy that owns that grocery store made a deal with the owner of the Doyle, and every day at 4 o'clock he'll send his truck to go take hikers. So if you get there at 4, you can get a free ride and resupply to the grocery store. I saw this when I came in and I thought it was kind of quaint. So the train is going by under the bridge. It takes you out to the Sequoia River. Pretty cool. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna let the weather dictate. Right now, the most I can go is either 11 miles or 32 miles, and I'm not gonna do 32 miles. So it may be another 11-mile day, or I'll go a little bit further and camp. And with the weather being what it is, it's kind of, you know, suspect. I may be too scared to camp in the rain. So we'll play it by ear and I'll keep you posted out here. You know, when you look at the book, when you're looking at Duncannon, it'll say 5 miles of the trail goes through town. And I know that's hard to believe, but I've just been walking through at least 2 miles of town, and I already know, being familiar with this trail, I'm gonna have to walk across this bridge, go way over there to where those trucks are, and keep on going to the far side. So when you're thinking about, well, how far is the next shelter from leaving town, you don't even got to worry about the woods, because you're going to be walking on hardball most of the time. So it's going to be a pretty easy track, I guess, to that first shelter that's like 4 or 5 miles out. All right, out here. I always get a kick out of the titty bar that's right on the edge of town. So if, like I said before, hiking makes you horny. So if you guys want to come out here and drink some beer and watch Sapphire dance tonight, where that name came from is right there. Then there you have it. And since I mentioned horny, there is something I want to tell you about later when there's not a lot of cars around out here. I'm being dive bombed by a hawk. Time to go back in the woods. By the time you hit the woods, you're only 2 miles, 2.6 miles away from the shelter. Feels good to be back in the woods. By the way, these power shots by Canon are very resilient. This camera's been through a lot, especially water. When I look at the screws on the back of this camera, the screws are rusted. Just to let you see how much this camera's been through, and it's still working pretty good. So I'm impressed out here. All right, showing you that strip club put something to mind. Now that trail days is over, hikers are coming back on the trail, and they're coming back, of course, with stories. And the most prevalent story that I keep hearing is what happens is the guys will talk about it and the girls will write about it. What the guys will talk about are promiscuous women. They'll say something like, man, these girls are going from one tent to another tent, from one guy to another guy. Wow, it was crazy, man. And then the girls will be like, they'll just write in the book something like, Angie, you slut, you da 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 da, blah 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 blah. I mean, and they're venomous in what they're saying. One time I was just gonna capture a page, but then I thought, nah, that's like too rated R. It's like I told you before. Hiking makes you horny. I mean, maybe it's too much adrenaline, maybe it's being out here, I don't know, but that is a truth, number one. Another truth is the count to men to women on this trail is probably 10 to 1. Okay? So when the women start hooking up with guys, let's just say maybe they're not practicing monogamy, or maybe the guy just can't keep up, but it's like it appears as if they're just going through one dude after another. Now, the guys that are ranting, in my opinion, are either jealous because the girl's not showing them any attention, or they're jaded because the girl showed them some attention and then she moved on. The women, I can't get inside a girl's head. I really don't know what they're ranting and raving about, to be honest with you. But there's a lot more venom there, it seems to me, with one girl putting down another. All I can say is, ladies, there's really no way around it. I mean, if you're gonna come out here and do your thing, personally, I applaud you. There's no guy out here that wouldn't do the same thing. So for me, I'm not one to take sides. But I will say this. I've seen more girls get shamed off the trail than guys. What do I mean? Let's say, and there's two scenarios. One scenario is the girl's hiking, she come to the shelter, and I told you in the shelter there are registers, books where people write. So she goes to write in the book, or she's reading the book, and she sees her name in big letters saying, so-and-so is a slut and da-da-da-da-da, and then she's just like, she's shamed and she just gets off the trail. I mean, what are you gonna do? And that way, I told you, hiking is a lot like high school. It doesn't matter how old you are, it's like the mentality follows. And then another thing is, let's say 100 miles in, the girl's hiking with a guy, everything's well, and then maybe by 200 miles, she's on the third dude. Well, you get to the halfway point, or let's say trail days, and she's with somebody she really likes, and they've been hiking together for several weeks. A guy pulls her aside and be like, hey man, that's Twinkle Toes, dude. She was been with all these other guys, and the guy's looking at her like, and so he ends up leaving her. And now, again, she goes home because whatever reason. So I'll just put it to you like this. I've never seen a guy leave the trail because of an issue with a woman. But I'll tell you this, ladies. I mean, you got to come with some tough skin as far as I'm concerned. Personally, I don't see why anybody would be complaining. I mean, it's unfortunate that the count to men to women is what it is. But hey, I mean, nature's gonna find a balance, and if it means one girl has to get around, and that's exactly what she's doing, then that's just, you know, that's the universe. I mean, I'm not here to judge anyone. But if you're coming to invest money, time, and effort in this trail, and you get sidetracked, you know, whereas if you were at home, you just go to the bar, you take care of your business, you wake up the next morning, you never got to see these people. It's not like that here on the trail. Understand, you're living, sleeping, spending all time with these people, okay? And there are some people that aren't really hiking. They'll hike with you for a few days, and then they'll get ahead of you. They'll get in the car, go ahead of you, and who knows what they're saying about you. I mean, that's what messed me up in 2012. This one dude was talking some BS about me, and I tell you what, it pissed me off. So it happens. It happens to me. It happens to other people. So all I can say is just be careful. You know, if you're strong enough, then you know what, hike your own hike. And if that means you want to sleep around, then do so. I mean, that everybody's doing it anyway. It's like it's Woodstock out here. It's one more reason why people can just drop their inhibitions, take another name, and do what they want to do and be what they want to be. You know what I'm saying? I will say this, as far as minorities go, you know, black, Asian, Mexican, we're on the outskirts. We just watch, okay? Most of what we'll do is just see it happening. I mean, it's not like we are getting in the middle of all that, but it's still something that can be observed among the other people that are out here. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, and I don't know why I didn't bring that up earlier, but I guess when I showed you the titty bar on the corner there, it just came up. So yeah, just be aware of that out here. To close the subject, I will say this. There are terms used in regard to that last subject I just talked to you about. When a guy is going through the trail chasing women, so to speak, not in a pervert kind of creepy kind of way, but when he's just going through chasing women like a nightclub, they call that pink blazing. And I thought that was the end of it. But a girl told me that when a girl was doing the same thing, chasing after guys, they call that banana blazing. I thought that was funny. I've never heard that term used before, but she used it, and me being so old, maybe that's just what they're calling it nowadays. But yeah, when you hear those terms, you pretty much know what's going on in that kind of area or genre out here. By the way, by being more than halfway through the trail, I'm starting to change in a sense that now when I leave town, I am so disgusted with eating, I just want to just leave. For example, I didn't eat breakfast this morning because I ate so much last night. You know, it's just like, all I want to do is hike. I'm so disgusted with food. So it's like I told you before, in the beginning, you don't leave town without food because you're just so ravenous. But now that my system is starting to level out, I don't think I'm losing any more weight. Now it's like, you know, when I go to town, I'm just more cognizant of what I eat and how I eat. But at the same time, you know, you eat so much because your body still has a need that that in the morning or whatever, you're so stuffed. The last thing you want to do is take more food out on the trail. Like I said before, I had the opportunity to eat breakfast, but I chose not to, and I just stuffed it in my cargo pocket. But I'm not really hungry at all, and all I want to do is just get back in the trail. Now that's that equilibrium part, which is beautiful, because now it's just about business. You can go into town, grab something, hit the road, bam. All right, that's what you want. What you don't want is to be lopsided, where you're only hiking to get into town and then you stay there for 3 and 4 days. For example, I seen 5 hikers when I was in Duncannon, okay? I seen one on the trail actually hiking. The other ones, 2 just popped up, and then there were 2 more there that were just zeroing. One was there for 3 days at the Doyle. I mean, dude, what are you? Some kind of like Ranger Special Forces? Because to live in that place under those conditions, I take my hat off to you. And then there was a girl that was there for several days. So, you know, at this point, you're really not nursing any more injuries. Come on, dude. You're like 1,100 miles in, over 1,100 miles in, if you still got blister problems or ankle problems, then it could be you're pushing yourself doing 30 and 40 miles when you shouldn't. But what I'm saying is they're at that point where they're just hiking to just live in towns, you know. That's not a good balance. And then you got people that are so budget strapped, they're just stay in the woods, you know, and they're like, they're here and then they run back out, which isn't good either. You got to find the equilibrium, you know, and that's why a budget helps, because once you hit that center point where it's like, okay, I'm here, now let me get back in the woods, it's perfect, you know. Your morale is good, your spirit is good, and you're just so direct, you know exactly what you're doing when you go in. It's like a precise strike. So I'd like to say that's where I am right now, and that's the sweet spot. It can only get better from here, which means I can only just hike stronger. If you notice, the last couple days I haven't done a lot of miles. I did 10 miles to town because the rain made me push the brakes, and I may do 11 miles out of here and stop just because I don't know if it's going to pour down, and the only thing I can do is pitch a tent if I choose to go forward. Another thing is, you saw me pitching my tent in shelters because it was a ghost town, but I realize now I'm gonna have to stop doing that. And you know, you gotta take responsibility. I mean, it is kind of like selfish for somebody to come in, set up a tent, and then hikers come in. And not to say that that has happened, but you know, some hikers came in at like 8:30, and I'm like, hey, you know, I can put my tent down if I want to, and they're like, nah, but you know, they're just probably being polite. So what I'm gonna do now is, if I tent, I'll set up my tent outside. If I go in the shelter, then I'll just leave my tent out, because that's just me being respectful for the night hikers that are coming in. And that's one more thing I need to say. Hikers are stronger now. Where they were doing 7 and 8 miles in Georgia, you see people knocking out 27s, 30s. So it's not uncommon for somebody to come in at night, and with summer being the way it is and the nights being longer, it's not uncommon for people to come in late at night, exhausted from hiking, don't want to set up a tent and just want to get a place in the shelter. And I noticed that the last time that I was in the tent, and I felt guilty. So I just want you to know that when I was setting up a tent in the shelter, I was not setting a precedent. I was not showing you something that you should do. My attitude was, I'm the only person here, why let this shelter go to waste? But as you go further, you have to be cognizant of the fact that people are stronger now. They're going to be getting in later, and there are southbounders now, okay? Once you hit Harper's Ferry, you're in a vortex where you're passing more people coming to you than behind you, or it's right about the same. And you know, you have to respect that balance. So, whew, out here. Checkpoint Alpha. Clark's Ferry Shelter. How you doing?
Yo.
It said the privy was $275. This reminds me of something out of the Blair Witch Project. There you go. Notice the rocks just waiting for me. They're like, come on.